My City Links presents Bocca Bytes. This is Diksha Tiwari, and I have with me today a very, very special guest with a special book. It's a debut author, and as you can see, it's Aditi Ratho with her book Suzie Mistry and the Imagination Factory. So, Aditi, welcome to Bocca Bytes.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here with us today. And I'm going to start straight away because this looks so interesting. I want to just show this. I love the way it's been designed. And before we get to know a little more about you, my first question straight away is, why did you think of a name like Suzie Mistry?
I love that question actually. I wanted an Indian name for sure because there aren't a lot of Indian children's book authors.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted some kind of Indian element to it. I grew up in Mumbai and I went to a Parsi school.
Okay.
So Parsis are very well known to me as a community, as a school. And the last name Mistry is Parsi Indian, but also has a global appeal. And the book has a mystery in it, so it was actually very easy for me to think of the name. And Suzie is I wanted something that was easy to pronounce, easy for children to kind of say and repeat. So I had a option of either Suzie or Ruby in my head. Suzie Mistry just fit perfectly.
Okay.
So if people who are non-Indians also read it, it's easy for them to pronounce. So yeah, Suzie Mistry and the Imagination.
That's what it is. That's really nice. I was wondering if there was a Parsi connect to the name. But of course, let me just talk a little bit about our very young author. In fact, Aditi, I know that you've had, she's studied from University of Cambridge, you've done from University of Toronto, and then you've had a corporate life as well. She has expertise in public policy, social impact, risk advisory, and then you come up with your own education consulting firm, Mind Sparkle, and then now an author. I'm really intrigued by this entire journey of yours. So give me a little insight about, from one step to the other, how did you take these decisions?
So I've always been a very curious person. I've liked reading a lot since a young age, not just fiction books, although that's my favorite genre. But I've liked reading, learning, and I studied international relations and political science in university and in my postgraduate, and I worked at the UN. And then I did corporate, I shifted into the corporate space. But throughout that journey, I kept up my reading and I really liked engaging with young people. What they're doing, what they want to study, how they want to study, and their careers. So I really liked engaging in that space, in that academic space. So as I've had 10 years of a professional career in all of these various things, and eventually when I realized I want to quit consulting, I realized I want to do a different kind of consulting, which is the mentoring kind. And today, and I think we spoke about this before, in today's day and age, there are so many options for young people, even probably more than I had. I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm old enough that I know that young people today have it very different. They have a lot of options. There are a lot of requirements for all of these options, and there is some confusion because of it. There isn't a straight path anymore, engineering, doctor, lawyer.
Yeah.
You can do a lot, and there are a lot of options, but with that there's a lot of confusion. So just some guidance, some mentoring with someone a bit younger and more relatable, not someone who's, people think is another teacher that they have to deal with.
Yeah. Or similar to a parent.
Somebody, exactly. Though I am fairly strict with them as well. I don't do everything for them. I want them to do it so that they're well equipped to do it throughout their educational and career journey. So I just wanted to create an institution that deals with that. So hence Mind Sparkle Academy. And I wanted them to kind of infuse creativity into it in some way. Hence the name that I came up with as well. So yeah.
Lovely. And do you handle candidates, students from both undergrads and graduates? Like, what is your...
Yes, so how I term it is, I mentor students 9th grade onwards, sometimes 8th grade because they're changing their boards and curriculum, but 9th grade onwards, not just directed towards studying abroad or international universities, just guidance in terms of what they want to pursue academically, as well as potentially career-wise. I mean, I am the
Understood.
biggest example of someone who can change careers.
I know.
But potentially some kind of direction where about what they would want to do with their careers, and for young professionals.
Yeah.
Young professionals who want to do their postgrad immediately after their undergrad or after a couple of years. And I've also actually mentored early career young professionals because who want to pivot or transition.
Yeah.
Again, I know a lot about transitioning. Just fun fact, I asked ChatGPT to roast me once, like, okay, roast me.
All right.
And like it says, okay, let me roast you, and it said things like, your career journey sounds a bit confused. So that was funny. You should all learn to laugh at ourselves. But again, I think it was my curiosity that drove me to kind of explore different careers. So I am an example of somebody who, when I talk to students, I'm like, you can do this, but you can always transition to something else if you feel like this is
very strong about it.
Yeah.
In fact, you've said this quite a few times now on transitioning, and nobody knows it better than me. So were you scared when you took that leap? Because at the end of the day, it's still a comfortable life. I mean, of course, every career path that you choose has its own challenges and struggles. But you have a fixed income, you have a comfortable life. So when you decide to start something of your own, and while we both have discussed this, that is a space where I think it was very much needed, because students need that kind of counseling today with so many options available, and there's always a bit of doubt between a creative path and an academic path as well. So it helps. But were you scared, like when you decided that okay, I want to quit and I want to start something of my own? And how supportive was your family when you decided to do that?
Great question. I think so. The last thing I did before I started my own company was risk advisory and consulting, and I completely believe that having a job, a career, it's great. It gives you security, it gives you a fixed income, and it just makes you an efficient person. So I really respect everyone who's in that journey. So I wouldn't say, oh, quit your job and start something. I'm not that kind of person who would do that. And it's made me a very efficient person as well. But at one point I realized I was just spending 95% of my time doing something that I didn't enjoy, I didn't believe in, and I was just kind of in that machine.
Mm-hmm.
Some people really enjoy it and I envy them, but I just didn't. So I felt like if I'm going to put in so much effort, why not do something
which I enjoy? Yeah.
Which I enjoy and of my own. So when I quit, I considered maybe going back to the policy space, because I've been in that space and I've studied international relations. I enjoy current events, I enjoy writing. But then I genuinely thought about it, and that's where like family support comes in. They gave me that time and space to do that, instead of being like, okay, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? So you need that time and space as well. So that I believe I'm privileged in that sense. What do I enjoy more than all of this? And like I said in the beginning, it's just mentoring young people. And through my journey, I felt like and there are a lot of education advisors out there who've just done, applications and all of these things. But I feel like the fact that I've had a career journey, I could maybe perhaps mentor people in a different way. So that's why I created
really
this.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And now coming back to the book, your experiences with these, I keep showing this because I want everybody to take a look at it. If you have a kid at home, he or she has to read this. So, coming back to the book, when you were talking with young kids, like you said, you've started mentoring students when they were in 8th and 9th onwards. So at any point, was it that, talking to these kids, some of them might be discussing about their creative imaginations or something. Did it in any which way influence this decision, or was this something that was also thought of from, like, how did you decide, okay, now I also want to be an author, I want to write in this genre?
So, good question, because I used to, when I was in the policy space, I still have a Twitter account, but it was more active then because I had to share writings, etc. So at that point, my Twitter bio had, my pipe dream is to write a book like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. So since a long time. So by pipe dream, I never thought I'd do it. So just because I was in a job, I was, doing that. So I thought I'd do it post-retirement. Then I quit. I was like, okay, so when is retirement going to be? So I was like, okay, why not try doing that now? And whenever I met kids from a certain age group, like 7, 8, 9, in a bill, I'm from Mumbai. I mean, born in Odisha, but from Mumbai.
Yeah.
When I saw kids in the building, etc., they were always like, running around, and they've created these games, they've created these workshops, and like there's a dragon somewhere, elf somewhere. They just have a lot of imagination in general, and just create things in their mind. So I was like, okay, why don't I write something about a factory where all of these things for kids are created? So
Right.
that's where the thought of Imagination Factory came in. I mean, I thought of writing for young adults at one point, but then, okay, another story of like a battle and, good and evil, etc. It seemed very done. So I was like, why not write about a factory that creates these ideas, creates these adventures? That's how
The factory came into the
factory
picture.
came into the
Wow,
picture. Yeah.
that's amazing. So when we talk about this imagination factory, and you were already doing, you had your mind sparkle, and where you had to be counseling kids, and you had decided, you must have said, did you set it like a timeline that okay, now I'm, when you started your manuscript, started working on it, were you like, okay, I have to balance this and write as well? So did you have some timeline in mind, or you just went with the flow and let it happen when it had to happen?
So I don't know. I've always been somebody who needs to finish things.
Okay.
I can't sit still. My family thinks I love sleeping and I just do that. But in my head, I'm always constantly thinking that I need to do something. I need
Okay.
to create something. There needs to be some output, which is not very healthy, but it is what it is. So when I started writing, I was like, okay, I need to finish this as soon as possible. But that can take as long as possible, but it has to be a good product. So
Right.
I didn't start out thinking that I need to, write for this publisher or for this person or anything. I just started out writing something that I feel I would be proud of. So I took about, and I tell this to everyone I meet, if you write something that you are proud of, everything
That's
else will
more
fall
than
into
enough.
place.
Yeah.
It'll just fall into place. Like, you need to genuinely feel like this is a good product.
Yeah.
And it's not showing off or feeling like, oh, I wrote something. It's genuinely feeling
Yeah.
inside you that you
Yeah.
wrote something that, you like it, so it'll work in some way. Like, it'll find its place in some way, somewhere.
I think
So
that applies to everything that you do in life. I
Yeah.
mean, professionally,
Yeah.
every role that you take up, the moment you know that you are doing a good job, that satisfaction in itself, is sort of, it's like, okay, now things will fall into place. I think that's very important.
and you can't fake it. You just
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just know.
Yeah.
So I wrote it, and I think I only took 2 months to write it.
Wow.
Yeah.
2 months and already a best-selling piece on Amazon. That's
Yeah,
great.
that
That's
was,
really great. So okay, now tell us a little bit. Of course, I mean, like I've said, we would encourage everybody to read the book. But why don't you just give us a little, idea about the story, a little bit about the story, and leave it, for the rest, for the readers to find out, more. But what if from the author we would like to hear your perspective when you decided that, of course we got to know how you discovered that you want to write on Imagination Factory, but the whole story that you, with Suzie's character and what she goes through, when you started thinking about it, what was on your mind?
So, like I said, the concept of an imagination factory was because I wanted to think of ideas for a book. So I thought, what if there was a factory that generates ideas? So that was the imagination factory. But growing up, I read a lot of Roald Dahl,
Okay.
Lewis Carroll, these books. And they're different from a different genre than J.K. Rowling and, Lord of the Rings. Because they are, like, if you read Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, they are also fantasy books. There's a different world out there, but it's rooted in like real life experiences of little children. So that's my inspiration. So
Right.
I thought, okay, let my title character be like an 8-year-old girl who's in a school and she has everyday experiences. She faces, bullies, challenges. She's bored because
Yeah.
kids these days are very bored. So let me start off with that kind of girl who's curious, who wants to do things, but she's constrained with like everyday life. And like I said, she's bored and she wants an adventure. So, and then she somehow stumbles into the imagination factory with this mischievous boy that, comes into her life, and this wise tiger, which is in our poster.
Yeah.
And then she, she meets this queen who is like a medieval queen who is the first of the imagined queens, and she gives her a task, a quest, that she needs to find the lost ring of wisdom, otherwise the joyful dreams of children will be taken over by terrifying nightmares. So that's the mystery that Suzie Mistry has to solve. So there's a mystery, there's adventure. She goes through different portals in the imagination factory, the room of horrors and nightmares, where she has to, tackle a banshee, and like a room that is smothering her, and lava and all of these things. And then my favorite chapter, which is the volcano of information, which is, a testament to the kind of bombardment kids face these days in terms of news, not news because they don't know what news is, but TV, scrolling, it's a great chapter. And there are chatterboxes that are surrounding them and almost, that they could almost drown in, and she's drowning in information. So how she gets out of all these situations, and eventually maybe doesn't find the ring of wisdom, and eventually goes back into the real life a little bit braver, a little bit wiser, a little bit more confident. So she has this journey where she overcomes a lot of things, learns a lot of things about friendship. That wasn't my purpose, that I want to shove a message down kids' throats, because they're not going to enjoy it. But through this adventure, she just learns certain things and applies those in the real world. And when kids read that, they'll know how she does it.
So kids, you gotta read it
to
understand that more. But we were talking about, she comes back, you said at the end, she comes back to the real world. So my next question was that when you're writing something about fantasy or imagination, how difficult as an author it is to strike a balance between that and reality, because it can't be all because you always have to keep that balance, because kids are young minds and they can get easily influenced by what they read, what they see. So was it very challenging for you to do that, or it came naturally, or you made a conscious effort when you were drafting that, if I do this, then maybe it might just be a little too much, or let me bring in a bit of reality? I mean, how difficult was that?
No. Your imagination can run wild, for sure. So I let it run wild, and then I kind of came back down to earth. It wasn't that tough, because like I said, my goal was to have a fantasy world and, this fictional world, but rooted in reality. This girl is from the real world, and the real world is very real, but then there is a portal into an imagination world. So she's always going to come back to her real world experiences. So I was always very conscious of the fact that everything that I write about needs to have real world elements in it. So, and at the end of the book, when she's kind of realizing that these are the experiences she's had in the factory, she's relating them to the real world as well. Like a dragon she meets, she relates to one of the bullies in her school. So she just has these these comparing moments where she realizes that, the real world isn't so bad after all. And you tend to be in your imagination and be in your own head, but you need to find the joy in the little things around you as well, and contentment. So not in a very preachy way, because again, kids will be bored by preachiness. I've tried to inculcate that as well, that you can find those happy things around you as well. Like, you just have to look deeper.
Lovely. I mean, if Suzie, this is not exactly related to, but just to sort of, I'm testing your imagination here a bit. So let's say Suzie Mistry walks into this room right now. Okay, that's your protagonist. She walks into the room and she sees this setup. You're talking and people here. What's the first thing that's gonna, how is she going to react and perceive the situation?
She's gonna go back to the bookstore, open a book and read. She's gonna be like, I don't want to be here. I don't know what they're saying.
All right. That was I think fair. And there is of course the bookstore there, which where I'm sure we'll also find books on Suzie Mistry. So that's another way to let you guys know that if you want a book, you can of course visit our store at Bocca and purchase a copy for this as well. Anything very specifically when you like you said, you never wanted to be preachy, but now that you are done with it and it's out there on Amazon, you are having these book reading sessions, you must be planning more across different parts of the country. What is the strongest message that you think this book would convey in a good way, not in a preachy way, but in a very practical, real way, while getting into the imagination factory to the kids of today?
So the various portals that Suzie visits, and there's a challenge and an obstacle and an adventure in every portal. She finds the courage to face difficult situations. Like kids, it's not just kids who face difficult situations; it's also adults, and adults are also liking my book, which is like very strange. But it's not surprising because if you read some children's books like The Little Prince, it's a kid's book, but you can read it as an adult and it's beautiful. It has all these hidden messages. So I think like children's books should be read as children and as adults.
Right.
So that's what I think the biggest message is, that there's always a solution to a problem. You just have to be a bit creative. And that's where the creativity is infused as well, because I think creativity is so important to, when you grow up, to innovate, to find solutions, all of these things, you need a creative bent of mind for that.
Yeah.
And that it's just I don't think creativity is becoming less today, but I think with all the technology around us, people feel like they can do without it, but I think that is a big mistake.
It is.
I think we need to cultivate our creative arts as well. So I think that's a bit of an ode to that. That keep creativity alive. It'll help you.
Yeah, it's a very interesting aspect that you've just raised here, and related to that, if I could ask you, because you're also a career counselor, you guide candidates. Do you think AI? I mean, there's so much of talk about ChatGPT. I mean, I think you mentioned that yourself, that you asked a question to ChatGPT as well. Do you think that's somehow killing creativity in the young generation? Would you take it that way, or you think it's sort of enhancing their...
It is enhancing. It's making them a lot more efficient, which is good. It is saving time, which is great. I mean, I use AI. If like businesses are not using AI now, they are falling behind. So it's very efficient. It saves a lot of time. So for those things, it's great. I don't think it can replace creativity at all. Like you can tell if something is written by ChatGPT. It's very obvious.
Yeah, it is.
Because it just does not have soul in it.
Yeah.
And anyone can tell. And there are ways to detect things that are written by ChatGPT as well.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's up to parents, educators to limit that use, because if a child is relying so much on an artificial intelligence,
and the creativity automatically.
Yeah, and I think when we grew up, I think one of the good things about not having this was that we challenged ourselves more. We had to figure out how to do things by ourselves. Now you can just Google something.
Yeah.
So that's in a way, it's not replacing creativity. It's just, I think, making people less curious about things, which is sad. But I think schools are also getting onto that, and they're trying to kind of limit exposure to certain tools. They're giving it to enhance projects and enhance and structure, etc. So that saves time. But I think they're allowing for people to put their own perspective on things, their own experiences into their essays, writing, etc., which is very important. So I think there's a balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, coming back again to your book, when you spoke about influence of, different authors, like we spoke about, of course, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, or you spoke about Charles and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, So how many of these readings that you have done as a child, I believe you still continue to read quite a lot. So how much of it has influenced your writing style, or like have you taken inspiration from any particular author, for a particular style of writing or something like that, like who's been a role model?
So one thing, and again, like when I sat down to write, in the beginning I was like, oh, I have to write something nobody's ever written before, but that was a mistake, because everything is inspired from something. It's just the treatment that is different.
True.
So, of course, my genre is inspired by a Roald Dahl and a Lewis Carroll, and I always say that, and every author will say that. They're inspired by something. Because, like I said, thinking of something new completely is what the imagination factory does. Like we can't do it. So those were my inspiration, and I continue to read these fiction books because, like I said, every time you read them, there's a message that you find, which I hope someone finds in my book, which you find as an adult through the experiences that you've had. So there's I don't think there's this concept like children's books. I think even adults can read them.
Of course, of course.
So yeah, that was my inspiration. And like I said, if anyone wants to write something, don't get bogged down by having to write something completely different and new.
Yeah.
Just write something that is a different treatment of something that has already been done.
Yes. I
And
think
then
that's a very practical way of looking at it. And before we go to, we have a rapid fire as well, and then maybe we could take some questions from the audience as well. But before we go to that, two quick questions. One, are we going to see this as a series? Like, are we seeing more of Suzie Mistry in the days to come?
So if anyone's read the book, there's an epilogue which teases the second book.
Okay.
So yes, I do have a second and maybe a third for
lovely.
the same series, and also a completely different book. So definitely not a one and done situation. Definitely writing more. Everything's in my head right now and my notebook. That's my process. I write in my notebook first, then I type. Everyone has different processes. Every person, every author will have a different process. So whenever someone asks me, what's your process? I'm like, find your own process. This is mine, but you will have your own. So that's my process. I write down on my notebook and then I type and flesh it out. So it's all in my head right now or my notebook, so it'll get fleshed out in some time. But there's a second and third definitely for Suzie, and then a completely different standalone.
Okay, so second and third for sure for Suzie. Before we go to the rapid fire, a very interesting question that came to my mind now that we know that there'll be another Suzie and probably a third one as well. When I was reading the first few chapters, and which is again a very typical treatment that is done by a lot of, even in movies I have seen, that when they show a kid with a, wild or a very quirky imagination, the kid is generally a loner, is not really very social, does not have too many friends, and that's how they sort of escape into an imagination world. So, when you thought of Suzie, was it again a very conscious effort to keep the character like that, or do you think it has nothing to do with, a kid's, a personality like that when it comes to imagination?
Very, very interesting question. I wouldn't describe Suzie as a loner. She loves reading and she loves, being in the library and reading. But when she's actually in the imagination factory, she's very chatty. Like she's just like, you know what? And even when Pluto finds her, she's like, who are you? She's like, don't disturb me. So she's quite chatty that way. So I wouldn't call her a loner. She just enjoys being by herself a lot. And I made her that way because I wanted her to have a journey where she becomes more confident, where she's like more open to people. A lot of times we think, kids, etc., in their own imagination, and therefore, they don't
get into
exactly. Yeah. But that's not the case. Like even in the end of the book, when she's in the real world, one of the people in her school who she previously thinks is a bully, she's daydreaming in the class. So she's like, oh, the imagination factory has created a dream specifically for her. So every kid has a different imagination.
Right.
It doesn't have to. Every type of kid has a different imagination. Some have like horror stories in their head, some have adventures in their head, some have like mystical lands in their head. So that is a personality thing, but every kid has an imagination for sure. So my characterization of Suzie was more because I wanted her to have this journey. Yeah, okay. That's all.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Like I said, we have a rapid fire, but before that, would we like to hear a few lines from the author from a favorite chapter? What say? Everybody? Yes. Absolutely. So you said chapter 3 was your favorite. So maybe a few lines from chapter 3.
So she's not in the imagination. She has entered the portal to the imagination factory in this chapter. And one of the 3 kids that have been terrorizing her in her school just comes in after her because he wants to steal her badge. And I think it's a funny chapter. It's just funny, so I like it.
Yeah,
sure. So I'll have a quick read. And they're short chapters, which is a good thing,
Yeah, and I love the font sizes are. that was something which
I wrote for the kids for today.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Of today, sorry. So this chapter is called An Unlikely Intruder. Suzie and Pluto stepped onto slick grass. Suzie immediately lost her grip and fell flat on her back, her eyes turned towards a bright blue sky and a smiling sun. She blinked. The sun was literally smiling down at her. She hastily got to her feet and looked around for Pluto. He was bolting towards a lazy-looking river a few yards from where they had emerged. Suddenly, Suzie heard a great big thud right behind her and a loud screech. Youch! She looked back at the gate, except the gate was now a stone wall stretched far into the horizon. It was as if the land they had walked into only had space to go forward, beyond the wall, not back where they had entered. And right in front of the gate, huffing and puffing, eyes rolling madly in fear, and cheeks becoming redder by the second, was Chip Chomp. Chip, what in the world are you doing here? Asked Suzie. I followed you, Chip spluttered, somehow getting the words out mid-wail. Mary sent me to steal your golden badge, the nice glittery one. But I didn't come to steal it for her. I wanted it for myself. It's so pretty and sparkly, and I like sparkly things. I asked Mummy and Daddy for one, and they got me all sorts, much, much bigger and brighter than yours. But I still wanted yours. So I followed you into that smelly library. It smells of old things. It's ghastly. I saw you talking to that imp. He gestured at Pluto, as though Pluto had disrupted a carefully planned robbery. Then I followed you into the back of the library through that old-looking gate. Chip turned up his nose at the thought. And now I'm here. Where am I? I want to go home. Where are Mummy and Daddy? He opened his mouth wide and steadied his chubby legs, ready to let out his loudest wail yet. Chip, stop screaming. It really is the most awful sound. Suzie returned angrily. Miraculously, Suzie's admonition caused Chip to close his mouth abruptly. He blinked in surprise and looked around as if someone would come to his defense. Mummy, Daddy, or Mary. Not Batty, of course. Batty only followed. She had no thoughts of her own. Suzie was surprised at the gumption she had mustered in asking Chip to shut up and stop howling. It was as though deciding to go on an adventure had given her courage to speak her mind. Where are we, Suzie? Chip whimpered meekly. He looked towards her for help. This big spoilt bully wants me to lead, Suzie thought in wonder. She felt strange about the sudden elevation to supreme leader for Chip Chomp. It was too much responsibility. She felt some empathy for Mary now, who had to tolerate this buffoon regularly. No number of sweets or cartoon watching could compensate for that, could it? If you two have finished, we must be on our way. Hurry up, said Pluto, exasperated, but wearing an amused grin. Suzie jumped. She had been so surprised at Chip's entry, she had forgotten all about Pluto and their adventure. Pluto had walked back towards them to see what the commotion was all about. Chip, you can come too, Pluto grinned. If the river allows you, of course, he added mischievously. Chip waddled towards them and the three children started walking towards the river at a hurried pace.
Lovely. Well, I don't know about the mime, but your eyes were sure sparkling when you read that, and you brought in a lot of energy when you read that. It was really nice. Just one chapter, but I'm sure you're going to buy the book and read all the chapters to understand the whole story of Suzie Mistry. Okay, we'll have a rapid fire, and this is a question that has been, I'm saying this beforehand, this has been set up by the team of Bocca Bytes, just to be on a safe side. So I don't know what are the questions, even I'm seeing it for the first time now. So this is pretty simple. Suzie Mistry or Mind Sparkle, which feels closer to your heart right now?
Oh gosh, right now Suzie, because
Right now Suzie?
Yes.
Okay. If I had you, this is not there, but I'm asking, if you had to give another name to Suzie Mistry, let's say you had to immediately think of, use your imagination and give another name to Suzie, what would that be?
I had a second name. It was Ruby.
Ruby
Mistry.
Ruby Mistry. Okay, all right. One children's book other than yours that every kid should read.
Oh, The Little Prince. I have a quote from it, which I would like to read out.
Sure,
in the beginning, I have a quote in the first page. It's, well, I must endure the presence of a few caterpillars if I wish to be acquainted with the butterflies.
Ah, nice.
That's a children's book. How deep is that, right?
Very nice. Okay, the best advice you have received as a student.
Oh gosh. Okay. I have one actually. You can always be a student in various stages of your life.
Yes, absolutely.
So I took a creative writing course from Oxford very recently, last year, and the tutor there, actually he was the one who said that often the best piece of writing shows a lot of restraint. So, you know, you don't have to have 5 adjectives or something. You know, one well-placed adjective can do. So I think that's
pretty deep.
good advice. That is deep.
Yeah.
And that can be for advice as well, right? Just,
Yeah.
advice for life as well.
Yeah.
Just think less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And what's the best advice that you have given as a mentor to a student?
This advice, less is more. I'm just regurgitating advice. Yeah.
That's nice. Okay. One word your friends would use to describe you.
Ooh. Oh gosh. One word.
This is supposed to be a rapid fire.
I know. I'm so god. This is my first rapid fire.
It's becoming a slow fire.
Two things. Either I space out a lot, so they just think like I'm in my own world. I'm in my own imagination.
Okay.
Factory. Yeah.
And this is an extra that I'm adding, being inspired from this question. One word that readers would say after they've read Suzie Mistry.
To describe me?
Yes.
Oh.
The author. What do you think?
Sparkling?
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Toronto or Cambridge? Where did you feel more at home?
Oh gosh, this is very tough. No, I can't answer this. Mumbai.
Mumbai?
Yes.
Amchi Mumbai.
Yeah.
Okay. Morning person, night owl.
Night owl.
All right. So did you finish this
Yes, in the night. Yeah.
Okay. And okay, your go-to stress buster after a long day.
Oh, good question. Reading a fiction book.
Okay.
Yes,
It helps.
Yes, definitely.
Wonderful. A historical figure you love to have dinner with.
Wow. Queen Elizabeth.
Okay.
Yeah, the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any particular reason?
She was like a very interesting person.
Okay.
She never married, never had kids. She was just awesome. She just
Your parents could be a little scared after
No,
this
I'm
answer. So, all right, okay. 3 words that define your writing style.
Oh, restrained.
All right.
No, restrained, sparkling. I just love that word.
Yeah.
And imaginative.
Okay. I'm sure you prefer sparkling water over regular water.
No, I'm a still water person.
Okay. All right. So, if you weren't an author or a mentor, what career would you have chosen? I mean, of course, you already had a career in public policy, risk advisory, but let's say even all that kept aside, anything else that you would have loved to?
Honestly, and I've said this before, if I had an alternate, like I've had to do everything again, I would be in a musical.
Ah.
Yes, like on Broadway.
Wow.
Yeah, but that can't happen anymore. Like
I don't
everything
think that
can happen except that.
But I don't think that goes into imagination factory. I don't think so. I mean, that can happen. Why not?
Some things are just done. Or like, you know, Lara Croft, Indiana Jones, like archaeology, like finding Nefertiti's tombs, that also. Things that can never happen. That's like in my imagination. Alternate lives.
Lovely. Okay, before we end this, I would like to take a few questions from the audience. We have a lovely audience here who've come to hear about Suzie Mistry and our author, our young author. So, any questions from the audience that we could take? A couple of them now. Okay, we have our first question.
What character do you secretly relate to the most? Like Suzie, Kuma, Pluto, or even Nancy?
Ooh, wow. She's read the book.
Yes,
I love that.
Yes.
And you know where the sequel is going, right? So the part of Suzie where she loves reading, she loves the library, that part is like how I was. I wouldn't say she's like me. But you know, and I think anyone who wants to write, they have to relate something to their own experience and what they are like, then it's easy for them to write. So that part about her is like but the rest is just maybe things I encountered, people I met, etc. So the reading part about her is like me, and the curiosity, etc. So yeah, if I had to relate to someone, it's her.
Okay, I'm very curious about, you said you like reading fiction books, and I like fiction. So can you tell me, like, what's your favorite book?
It would have to be The Little Prince. Yeah, it would. It's a children's book, but it's beautiful. The way he sees the world, it's just great. So I would recommend that to adults as well. It's a great book.
Thank you, Devi. All right, any more questions?
If a person grown up by reading Harry Potter, Alice in Wonderland? If he will read the book, how much he would like it?
This book?
Yes, sir.
Oh, they will really like it if they've read those books because the same genre. It's like someone in the real world who stumbles into another world. I think people who like that book would really like it for sure. So yeah.
All right, thank you. We have one more?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Congratulations. I don't know Aditi as she is. I know her parents better. I'm sure, it runs in her blood because her father writes so well. And The Little Prince and Alice in Wonderland are things that happen every day. Uh, the first thing that I would like to tell you about your book, which I haven't read yet, I wanted to hear this first, is the book glows. The illustration is so powerful. It's glowing, whatever color and the illustration that's been used. And I'm so looking forward to it because I can just smell what it's going to read. Yeah, because of the person that has just come out through the interview. Yeah, this is the closest I've got to her, and yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful reflection. All the best. Looking forward to the other two sequel as well.
Hi ma'am.
Hi.
What does the book say about the importance of the dreams and the nightmares?
It doesn't say the importance, it actually says that both exist. You'll always have nightmares and horrific things around you, etc. That those exist along with joy, and the light is always there with dark, etc. So it will exist. It's just how you can navigate through the nightmares and horrors around you to find the joys and the dreams. So while the book is about her saving the land of dreams from being overcome by nightmares and anxiety, she also learns that you can't escape it completely. You just have to learn to live with it and navigate these situations.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll end with a question that was running on my mind for a while now. How important do you think, Aditi, in today's world, in schools, in particularly when in young classrooms, how important it is for educators to stress and talk about creativity along with academic, because at times it becomes so important for parents, for teachers, that this percentage, everybody has to come out successful, this entrance, this, that.
I think and it's a good thing, a lot of schools are realizing the power of creativity now, and they do infuse it in their curriculum and their education, because maths is important. It's extremely important. It's an important foundation. 2 plus 2 does not equal 5, and it should never equal 5. So it's important to have all of these foundations. But when you grow up and when you realize that you need to lead organizations, you need to innovate, you need to have creative solutions to problems which you will encounter in your career, whether it's in an organization or you're an entrepreneur, anything. The creative side of your academic life really helps. So that needs to go hand in hand with all your, doing well in school and all of those things. In every subject. I just said math because I feel like a lot of the times people think it's either creativity or math. It's not the case.
In fact, when you said that, I'm sorry, but I just seen this thing on Instagram today where somebody had written it's some 1,000 days of not utilizing a plus b whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. So I've seen a lot of jokes on this, that when do we utilize that? We've learned, our teachers were so strict about it in school, but I have never used this formula in my real life, that a plus b whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. I hope I'm getting it correct. Yeah, but yes, I think, so I understand the math, stress on maths and the creativity. But yes, please carry on. I'm sorry.
No, it's good, but I would say it needs to go along. Everything needs to go along with each other. They can't be a replacement of anything. I think studying hard science and math at a young age is also important to understand how the world works, equations, etc. Just to also give you that discipline in school, keep you grounded, etc. Extremely important. But when creativity is infused with that, like I said, it develops originality, and later on in life you just are able to figure out things much better in a creative way. So creative is not just like being able to draw, it's also about creating things, whether it's a story, whether it's whether it's like a structure, anything. It's just creating something. It just helps.
So the balance is important. Thank you so much, Aditi. It's been a wonderful interaction, and we had some lovely questions from the audience as well. At the end, I can just hope that maybe once you are, you have come out with Suzie number 2 and number 3, and in a few years from now, you'll be sitting here in a cafe like this or somewhere else, and a kid walks up to you and tells you that you changed the way I dreamt and imagined in my childhood. Please catch hold of this book. To all the parents, ensure that your kid is reading that. To the kids out there, please insist your parents to buy this book for you. You are gonna love it. And thank you so much, Aditi. It's been such a wonderful interaction with you. Thank you, everyone. We have something, as a token of appreciation we have with us Sameer Hans, who is also the co-founder of Bocca and the publisher for My City Link. So I like to invite him here, and we would like to take this honor to give you a little token of appreciation from the Bocca and My City Links family.
Yeah.
Yay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
All the best. All the best. It was good to have you here.
I loved being here. I loved it. Thank you so much.
And one for
And I'm getting one as well.
Yes. Perennial hostess.
Of course.
And we have to live in Bhubaneswar, so
So you have no choice.
no choice.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful choice, actually.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you.